Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasati.
Hare Krishna, welcome back to our channel Bhagavad-gita. Here it is, because we are reading Bhagavad-gita as it is. It's a translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. My name is Labanga Latika. And we have entered into the third chapter, which is called Karma Yoga, because Arjuna had some questions previously. They exist already in this format on YouTube. Questions about action. And action is a tricky concept, actually. So I'm reading text 4. I start with the Sanskrit. Na karmana mana rambahan naishkarmyang purusho shnute natya sanyasanad eva siddhing samadhigachati. Not by merely abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction, nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection. Purport. The renounced order of life can be accepted when one has been purified by the discharge of the prescribed form of duties, which are laid down just to purify the hearts of materialistic men. Without purification, one cannot attain success by abruptly adopting the fourth order of life, sannyas. According to the empirical philosophers, simply by adopting sannyas or retiring from fruitive activities, one at once becomes as good as Narayan. But Lord Krishna does not approve this principle. Without purification of heart, sannyas is simply a disturbance to the social order. On the other hand, if someone takes to the transcendental service of the Lord, even without discharging his prescribed duties, whatever he may be able to advance in the cause is accepted by the Lord. Buddhi Yoga, Svalpamapyasya dharmasrya trayate mahato bhayat. Even a slight performance of such a principle enables one to overcome great difficulties. Yes, this is spoken at a time and a culture where renunciation and this was spoken in a culture and at a time where renunciation and austerity were accepted as processes for purification, for gathering strength, especially spiritual strength. So I think in our present culture you wouldn't need to tell anyone that by renunciation alone you cannot achieve anything, because it's very rare that somebody is practicing renunciation alone, but it's still existing, maybe mostly in India and in these cultures coming from the Vedic tradition, that renunciation and austerity, it builds character, it builds strength, and actually by performing specific austerities laid down in the scriptures, one may gain all sorts of powers. But it doesn't give you freedom from previous karma. If you have performed an activity, that result is still waiting for you, even if you gain something else on top. It's like I sometimes use the example of working in society, and you put money aside in the bank, and that money you can use to go on a holiday or do all kinds of nice things. But if you perform illegal activities, you may be given a prison sentence. So if you have been sentenced to prison, even if you make a lot of money on top, you will still have access to that money when you come out from your prison. It does not annul your prison sentence. So with karma it's a little bit the same. When you do something in this world, the reaction to that action is built in there, and it is there and it's waiting for you. And if you add some good karma on top, then you will have both. You will have some good karma, you will have some bad karma. It will not remove the bad karma. Actions in Krishna consciousness, though, it's totally different, because it's not on the material platform, and it's not going to give you a good karma. But it's actually possible by serving Krishna, by surrendering to Krishna, by adopting a spiritual path in life, to step out of this wheel of samsara. So therefore we're holding two concepts in our head at the same time. We are talking about two separate systems. Sometimes we hear that yes, we want to be Vedic and we want to follow the Vedas, but the Vedas are very vast and they give different instructions on different paths and on different level of those paths. So it's very difficult to boil them down into one simple thing and saying this is Vedic. There's a lot of things that are Vedic, but we can also stay Vedically in this material world and build up our karma for lifetime after lifetime, and that is not what Krishna is suggesting to be the best course of action. So in society we have certain duties, and in the Vedic concept, the material duties, our material existence, and our spiritual goal and our spiritual practice, they are woven a little bit together. So we're not saying this is good and this is bad for everyone at all times. Of course we do that to an extent. It is bad to commit sinful activities and stay in this world and suffering the karma, and it is good to take up God consciousness and sing in God's name. But the specifics, how we do that, will differ a little bit from person to person. So here we're hearing that purifying the heart plays a very major role in our lifestyle. So this is I shouldn't say exactly organic, but it's a natural process. It's not that we come in and say everybody do like this, and everybody who goes a little bit on the outside of that, we just reject them out of hand. No. Ordinarily, most people in this world have material desires, and therefore the Vedic structure is built up in such a way that we spend part of our life working to take care of our family and fulfilling some of our desires, but at the same time we practice Krishna consciousness, so that purification of heart takes place. And at the mature stage, taking sannyas, which means taking a vow of lifelong renunciation, living as a monk from that point on, can be adopted, and then it's useful. But if somebody prematurely takes up too much renunciation, he will not be peaceful and satisfied himself, and he will not be very helpful in society. He will rather create a disturbance in society. But if somebody is able to take to Krishna consciousness, to actually find that purity of heart, grow that love for God, and naturally lose attachment to the material enjoyment, then that is perfect. Then it's no need to go through specific processes in a specific order that are mostly meant to regulate those who are in between. We are not binary. We're not saying either you're spiritual or you're material. We're saying in this world, most of us are here due to material desires. Most of us have spent many lifetimes here, but we have become more and more entangled in our old reactions, in the senses and in the impulses for more sense enjoyment, and therefore it's good to find a platform where we can be steady. So then that platform may not look like perfection, because perfection in pure Krishna consciousness is one thing, an outright how to say, the outright demoniac position of rejecting God, rejecting everything spiritual, simply only going for one's own satisfaction at the cost of anything, everybody else, and so on. Most people are not here and they are not there. Most people are somewhere in the middle. We still need to have a normal life. We still need to have some sort of security in life. We don't whimsically throw that out the window because it's useful for us ourselves and it's useful for society, but we add Krishna. We add Krishna in our life. We add processes of Krishna consciousness into our life. And then that purification of the heart begins and continues. And it brings us to the point where we naturally will want to maybe distance ourselves from the more meaningless parts of our lives and instead take the Krishna consciousness more and more. I think I will read another verse. Text 5. Nahi kaschit kshanam api jatutishthatya karma krit karyate hyavasha karma sarva prakriti jair gunai. Everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. Purport. It is not a question of embodied life, but it is the nature of the soul to be always active. Without the presence of the spirit soul, the material body cannot move. The body is only a dead vehicle to be worked by the spirit soul, which is always active and cannot stop even for a moment. As such, the spirit soul has to be engaged in the good work of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, it will be engaged in occupations dictated by the illusory energy. In contact with material energy, the spirit soul acquires material modes. And to purify the soul from such affinities, it is necessary to engage in the prescribed duties enjoined in the Shastras. But if the soul is engaged in his natural function of Krishna consciousness, whatever he is able to do is good for him. The Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.17 affirms this. Chaktva svadharmang charanam bhujam harer bhajan apakvo tapate tato yadi yatra kvava bhadram abhud amushya king ko varta apto bhadyatam svadharmataha. If someone takes to Krishna consciousness, even though he may not follow the prescribed duties in the Shastras or execute the devotional service properly, and even though he may fall down from the standards, there is no loss or evil for him. But if he carries out all the injunctions for purification in the Shastras, what does it avail him if he is not Krishna conscious? So the purificatory process is necessary for reaching this point of Krishna consciousness. Therefore, sannyas, or any purificatory process, is to help reach the ultimate goal of becoming Krishna conscious, without which everything is considered a failure. Yes, so the soul is active. We know that in this body, even when we do nothing, we actually do something. We are still breathing. Our heart is still pumping. Our mind is still engaged somehow or another, thinking or dreaming or planning in some way, because the spirit soul is a person with a certain drive to do something, to achieve something, to experience something. So we are not interested in changing that fact, because first of all, it's impossible. So why would we even bother? And second of all, it's not what we want. We want to find out those activities that belong naturally to the soul. So we see that Prabhupada sometimes gives the example, like when we're in this material body, we are a little bit in a diseased condition. We don't have our full access to our full spiritual powers. So when a person is sick, and maybe you're in bed with a fever and you can't move and you can't eat and so many things, but it's not that when you become healthy, then you cease to act altogether. Even in your diseased stage, you will have some action, you will have some desires, you will have some activity, and as soon as you're healthy, you can go about your life again. So these systems, we hear about Varnashram, we hear about duties that are a little bit on the material platform, because they are based on our natural inclinations in the present material body. And in the society there will be many persons and they will have different nature, and Varnashram means you engage everybody in such a way that they fit together. It makes society productive, functional and peaceful, and it also gives us a good platform where we can peacefully practice Krishna consciousness. So it is very good, it is very interesting, and we can study it for a very long time because it's quite intricate. But the point of it is to give us a steady platform to become Krishna conscious, because we're not going to artificially throw ourselves into the life of a sannyasi, because it doesn't work. We have seen that. We have seen actually in this movement, for the preaching mission of Srila Prabhupada, he established a sannyas ashram with his young followers in their 20s, and many of them are still there, strongly engaged in Krishna consciousness and doing very important service. Some of them couldn't maintain that platform because it is very difficult when you don't have that specific level of realization and spiritual strength. So therefore, we want to develop this understanding of Anashram and so on, but what is more important is to develop our Krishna consciousness. And it's always absolutely necessary to realize that everything else that we do is meant to be a support for our Krishna consciousness. And but we want to be realistic about it. So we are not forcing ourselves to be more Krishna conscious than we can handle in our life, but we are being careful that we are engaged in such a way that we can become steady, we can become peaceful, and we can be able to continue the process of Krishna consciousness for a very long time. I'm not very good at the sports terms, but I think you have something like a sprint. So spiritual life in this body, it is not a sprint, it is a marathon. It will go on for a very long time. So we have to find the level where we are steady, where we can pace ourselves, where we can last. And if we can find a peaceful situation in our life, but at the same time more and more absorb ourselves in the Krishna conscious activities and be careful to participate in the purificatory process and avoid the things that are negative for our Krishna consciousness, then we are making the best use of this material body. Thank you very much for watching. If you are appreciating what we are sharing here, you are welcome to subscribe to our channel and come back again. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for watching. We aim for updates every Tuesday and Friday. Please come back. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down there. We also have some links and information for you. And there is, of course, the subscribe button. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I'm a Hare Krishna, and I approve this message. Subscribe.
Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalang